welcome everybody to Ignite Humanity Live. I'm JBO and your host, and I'm so delighted to be here because guess what? We're talking about ways to ignite humanity. And that's right, each and every one of us can ignite humanity in our own unique way. And just like our unique fingerprints and our unique eye color, we have the unique ability to ignite one another. And that's what this show is all about. We want to inspire you to go out and do something special that ignite not just your life, but somebody else's life. And when you ignite you ignite somebody else, and that means we can ignite humanity. It's a ripple effect. So many things can happen when we decide within ourselves that we're going to make a difference in the world, and that's what this show is about. Now, I'm so excited because we are in Los Angeles on location, and I've had some of my amazing friends coming into the studio to talk to you about ways that you can ignite humanity. Now, it's not big and galactic and global because guess what? Igniting humanity starts with just one micro movement. We all can make that kind of impact in small incremental ways. And we're going to give you all kinds of suggestions on how you can do it at home, with your family, at work, and the ways that you do your life by igniting others. Now, it's Friday, so that means it's Connection Day. We're going to be talking about connections, ways to create connections, because now more than ever, we all need to feel like we're connected. We've been so disconnected, and it's time that we come together because together we can accomplish a lot. I was reading a book by the Dalai Lama, and he talked about we're more connected now than we've ever been. Countries rely on one another. We need each other for food and for services and for fuel. We're so connected. We need to care about the people around the world who are providing us with our food supply or providing us with our heat or our fuel. We need one another, and that means we need to care about each other and we need to build connections. And one of the ways we do that is through Ignite Moments. Ignite Moments are those personal moments that come to us that start to change us and transform us. And sometimes they're difficult, and sometimes they're precious, and sometimes they're wonderful. But each and every time they move us forward towards a better version of ourselves. And when we tell that story, that wonderful Ignite moment, and some of the trials and tribulations that unfolded because of it, we actually build connections. The brain is connecting through endorphins and through other adrenaline that makes us feel more connected to one another. And so I've got a great guest here today who's going to talk about connection because we want to connect with you. Now, before we get there, I just want to remind you, if you've missed any of our past episodes, or this is the first time you're here, you can jump on over to ignitehumanity.life/watch, and you can see all of our episodes, and they're all for free. And I do that because I want Igniting Humanity to be something everyone can do, and you don't have to pay for it to get it. And so we make it available to you. And if you want to know what we're doing to ignite humanity, our documentary, our book, and all of our docuseries, head on over to ignitehumanity.life, and you can find out everything that we're up to. All right, well, let's get connected to our guest. I'm so happy to have him here. Welcome to the show, Mr. Moe Rock. He is the CEO of the LA Tribune and one of my very good friends. I'm happy to have you here.
Well, JB, pleasure and privilege to be here. And I have to say, I sat back and watched you introduce this show for the last 3 minutes. I'm pumped up. I'm excited. If we end the show now, I think that we did a spectacular job already. So I'm going to do my best to hold my own. I hopefully won't go downhill from here, but seriously, it's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much for allowing me the gracious opportunity to be in your world, to be in your inner circle, to be your friend, and to be a alliance partner. I know that our respective entities and our respective communities are different, but also similar in some respects when it comes to value. And something that has attracted me to want to work with you are your values. Something that is important in the world of business and in the world of life is recognizing people's values. Having a knack to get, the younger generation calls it vibes, right? Mm-hmm. And so to be able to feel the vibration or the vibe or the intuitive feeling and understanding of other people, I think is the most important quality in business. And I share that just to say that I recognized quite early on in meeting you that you have the qualities that make up a true leader, as far as integrity, as far as doing things in the right way. And I wanted to just take a second to acknowledge that of you, and also congratulate you for all the work that you're doing, all the work that you will be doing. Yesterday, for those that don't know, you and I shared a red carpet at a movie premiere, and a large check was presented to you. And this is in relation to the work you're doing in Cambodia, Indonesia, India, Pakistan. You and I are also doing work. In the very near future, there'll be some announcements to help these schools, help these children. And so, I'm just excited to sit next to you, excited to call you a friend. And hopefully today we can have a conversation that will give some take-home value for the viewer. And so if you're watching, grab a pencil, grab a paper, and hopefully we could give some folks a nice, valuable day.
Thank you for saying that so much about value and connection, because they do go hand in hand. When you recognize the qualities and the values that people adhere to, it builds connections. What are some of the qualities that you look for in the people that you want to create connections with?
It's a combination of competency and decency, right? I can try to do business with people that are fundamentally decent, but if they have no market value, we're just sitting around being decent and poor.
Right.
Right? Consequently, there are people that have a tremendous amount of market value, but have questionable characters. And when you work with them, you end up being rich and miserable. And you have issues and problems, and you may not even get rich because you might get backstabbed in the last second. And so those two things, fundamentally decent, good-hearted people, but also people that have market value, right? And a lot of times, unfortunately, people have a negative connotation to being able to have a market value, to be able to generate business, to be able to have the ability to produce business development takes some characteristics.
Right, and it takes other people, right?
It takes other people.
We can't do what we do. We can't ignite anyone if we're not connecting with each other and working together.
Yes, and who you align yourself with in business is perhaps the ultimate factor in how your destiny will unfold. And this is something I'm very, very particular with. I would say that my job really is just to make sure that we steer the ship in the right direction. And there's always going to be people in business wanting to steer you in different directions. And, almost every day in my life, I have someone suggesting we should go east, west, northwest, southwest. And so the job of a leader is to make sure that you have the vision and you have the sight, right? Sight meaning this individual is going to take us off course of the vision. And so, again, there's always this balancing act of macro, micro, but on a day-to-day, that's the job, to make sure that the people you're working with are the right people, because that is an irreversible mistake. If you work with the wrong people, that's an irreversible mistake. And I've seen so many talented, skilled organizations, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, simply make the wrong choices with regard to who they associate with. And even though they're talented and skilled and smart, they're not successful, or their success does not last because they falter on that one thing. So that, to me, is one of the most important things, if not the most important thing.
And I think values, let's go back to that, because when we build connections, or when we have business partners, or even partners in life, or we're teaching our kids, it really is about the value system. And it's what you value, but what we value intrinsically. Let's talk a little bit about that, because many people feel like, well, I didn't learn that. But in fact, we all know it from an intrinsic place. What is the values that one another works towards to do things that are actually going to rise up the collective?
Right there, JB, behind camera, this is the word Ronin, and it's part of some film equipment. That actually comes from the ancient samurai.
Oh, really?
And in the ancient samurai culture, there are principles called Bushido. 7 principles of which the samurai used to live by. Now, why is that relevant to the people watching?
Right.
One of the principles is honor. We live in a day and age of which most people in society, sadly, have forgotten to value honor. What does honor really mean? To honor your life, to honor your society, to honor your family, to honor Mother Earth, who's a living organism. We sometimes forget the Earth is a living organism.
Yeah.
How are we treating this living organism, right? And so honor, as described by the ancient samurai, I believe is a very important value. And remember, another thing about the ancient samurai, they would protect the villages. They would protect the villagers. They would protect their community. But you didn't want to mess with them. And so peace through strength, right? Being able to actually do something positive and doing it with strength, having a sword in your back pocket. You know, I love the samurai. In fact, I'm writing a book right now inspired by the samurai, because I believe that a lot of those ancient virtues need to be reintroduced to modern society. And so, you know, I just think that's a moment of synchronicity.
All right, it just like right there in
it's
your
right in
eye,
front
right?
of me. It's kind of like the last scene of what's that movie? You know, it'll come to me later. But yeah, so.
I like that you said honor, because a lot of us, we honor the wrong things potentially. Like we honor wealth, or we honor the materialism, or we honor somebody who has a lot of followers, or, you know, goofy, you know, doing things that are just for shock value. And I think honor really starts with honoring self, because if I don't honor me, how are you going to honor me? And if I don't honor what I stand for, how are you going to believe me in business or in relationship or in, you know, igniting humanity? So I think an honor actually starts from within. And I think that goes back to the samurai. They do years of training on themselves.
Loving yourself. So many of the problems we see in society would diminish if people loved themselves authentically, right? A lot of folks don't love themselves, don't honor themselves. And so they fall into cycles, they fall into a lot of mistakes. We're going to stick to business and entrepreneurship. What I witnessed, JB, are a lot of people that try to use their businesses for their own emotional needs. Your business is not here to serve for your own personal emotional needs.
Yeah, it's true.
And I see a lot more of that than you would think. I'm like, your business is here to serve humanity, to add value to society, to add value to other people's lives. It's not your personal emotional piggy bank. You know, I had a friend who him and I, we entertained the idea of doing business a few years ago. And a software company, a very talented, incredibly bright young man. But he could not stop using his business as a personal emotional piggy bank. And that leaks out. You know, you can't keep a team around because everything is always about you, your own personal emotional needs. You get into arguments with clients you shouldn't because it's all about you, your own personal emotional needs. People don't really want to work with you because they're like, I'm in business. This is not a therapy, you know? And so that's another thing that I hope the folks watching are cognizant and conscious of, because we're all human, right? And especially when we are in the modern age of entrepreneurship, where it's purpose-driven, especially folks in your community, they're purpose-driven. Let's stay purpose-driven, but let's not make our businesses for our own personal emotional needs. This is a very limiting way of thinking. And I bring it up because I see it every day in the world of entrepreneurship.
Right, and it's not really how to ignite humanity. I mean, you have to have that idea of, yes, I need to have my base needs and serve myself and elevate myself. But in that process of elevating me, I want more people to be elevated.
Yes.
And I gotta be honest with you, I had a time in my life where I had a business and it was all about me and all about growth and all about domination and all about market value. And when I let that business go, I committed to starting my next business with what I call the triple win. I win, you win, the customer wins, the next customer wins. You know, for us, our schools win, the kids win. I know at the LA Tribune, you have more than the triple win. Talk a little bit about how you create triple win in what you do.
I love the triple win. I define it a little bit differently. I define the triple win of I win, you win, and the world at large wins.
Right.
Right? You know, a lot of people, they have the assumption that they're forward thinking because they believe in win-win. But I would remind them, if you watched Home Alone with Macaulay Culkin, the Sticky Bandits, right? Joe Pesci and the other guy. Now, if they successfully robbed that house, those two would have won. But the McAllister family would have lost. Society would have lost, right? And so you can't go into business saying, hey, I'm going to win and you're going to win, right? Because the Sticky Bandits had that conversation. Now, luckily, Macaulay Culkin was home alone, right? And they didn't win. But if they did win, now you have two crooks working together saying, hey, we both won. So important to add that triple win. I win, you win, the world at large wins. Now, I know you weren't expecting a Home Alone reference in this interview, but you liked it, and there's more to come. And so, you know, with what we're doing, we're actually in a very unique position because we have a fiduciary responsibility, as I see it. And I recently wrote a book with Kyle Wilson, founder of Jim Rohn International, and Tom Ziglar, son of Zig Ziglar, and so many incredible thought leaders that were in the book. Dennis Waitley, Psychology of Winning. And in that book, I wrote a chapter about how I see myself more of a steward and not a CEO, because I'm very fortunate in the sense that the Los Angeles Tribune, the name was first introduced in the 19th century. And so the point is, it was around before I was born. It'll be around long after I walk into the sunset. And so my job is to be a steward, to protect the integrity of our brand, to protect the integrity of the name, and to use it for the will of positivity in a world of which really needs it.
We need it.
We really need it. And so being a student of the laws of polarity and the Hermetic principles, I know that whenever there's a void or whenever there's something off balance, eventually things will even up. And what I say that to say, I believe that right now there's way too much negativity in media.
Yes, true.
I believe that if you look at all of the negative news, all of the news that disempowers you, it's far more larger, statistically, disproportionately than positive news. And I define that by way of news that empowers you. And so something I'm proud of is that when you read our newspaper, you walk away, people tell me all the time, they walk away feeling empowered. You read the Los Angeles Tribune newspaper and you want to get up, make a positive difference in your life. You want to achieve success personally, professionally in your life, financially, mentally, relationally, physically, spiritually. And people tell me when they read other publications, sometimes they feel a sense of paralysis. They're like, well, oh my God, what do I do now? Right. So that's disempowerment. And so our fiduciary responsibility is to play the role in the marketplace of positivity in media. And that is my purpose. That's my Ignite essence, my Ignite moment, that the recognizing of that reality and doing something about it. And going back to the law of polarity, I know that when there's a void, a vacuum will fill it.
Correct.
And so that's what our role is. That's what you're witnessing. You're witnessing the processing of that being filled, the vacuum of that essentially demand, right? In the world of business, you have supply and you have demand. Well, right now, there's not enough supply for the world of empowering news. And so that's our responsibility. It's a reinvention. People have never seen a national legacy brand make that their main focus, make that their centered value system. And so it's exciting to be able to also do something new.
Well, bravo for what you're doing. And we love it. We love the LA Tribune. We love reading it, be a part of it. And I think for folks back home, what I'm really learning from you is that when there is a void and when there is a breakdown or when there is something that is disproportionate, we can, one person, and this is what the show is all about, one person, you, me, you, can make a difference that has this growing, blossoming, birthing, legacy effect. It's not just that, oh, there's a void, or like you didn't sit back and do that. Mm-hmm. And so let me ask you, let's go back a few years. What was the thing that really made you spark this idea that this was your fiduciary right?
So, whenever we look back in life, a lens that I look back through life is something that I actually picked up from a commencement speech that Steve Jobs gave. And in this speech, I believe it was for Stanford, he looked back on his life. And of course, we know the great work that Apple has done. And that the incredible work that he did speaks for itself. But what was interesting was he mentioned that he took a very unassuming, not a big thing, class in community college on design that he somehow needed to take. And he was talking about all these small little random things in his life that at the time didn't really mean too much. But later on, the things he learned from that little community college class, he used to design a PC that no one else had ever seen. And so the point I'm making is sometimes the smallest things in our lives can connect and teach us the most profound things. And so in my life, I had a very unique, eclectic background where I started my professional career as a teenager in the music industry. Right. And so the lessons that I learned as a teenager where I was not old enough to drink, but yet I was old enough to run a multi-6-figure, 7-figure industry, right? Operation. And so that was a profound learning experience for me because that was my introduction to the world of business and having a production company that did well internationally. And so a lot of lessons you learn in the music business. I tell people all the time, if you can make it in the music business, you can make it in any business because you have to be a psychologist, you have to be an artist, you have to be a anthropologist and study humanity, pretty much anything except for a dentist, right? And so that was, a very high octane environment to be in. And going back to how we opened up this conversation, the music industry, the entertainment industry, any industry that you can think of where there's a lot of glitz and glamour, you have to learn how to read people very quickly. Because anytime you have glitz and glamour, you attract a lot of different characters, a lot of different people with various intentions. And so for me, that was the ultimate place to earn some business stripes. Looking back, I'm very grateful that was the environment I was able to learn from, because I think that it sharpens your knife very, very much so.
And would you say that, we talk values, would you say that it's about authenticity also? Because I think a lot of times we are being taught not to be authentic. We are taught not to be in ourselves. We are shown that unless you're this, you're not enough. And so having that ability to be truly authentic in who we are is actually part of our superhero. It's
not just part of our superhero, JB. Being authentic is your responsibility to your creator.
Take that in for a minute, right?
If you are living your life without taking what's inside and bringing it out, you're being disrespectful to God.
Whatever God it is you agree to.
Whatever God it is you agree to.
Because every single God wants you to be the best version of you. There is no God that wants to hold you down. I don't believe that. There is no God or gods that wants you not to be the best version of yourself.
However you want to fill that, the universe, right? Source. The point I'm making is you have a responsibility to Mother Nature, to, the universe, to share your hopes and dreams, to share your vision. If you keep that buried, it's interesting because if we're so blessed right now. We're in Southern California where there's an abundance of wealth and an abundance of life, and it's a condensed place in the world, and we have kind of this bubble here. But even with all of the wealth that you see here, even with all of the riches, it's nowhere near the richest place on planet Earth. The richest place on planet Earth is when you go to a gravesite and you see all of the tombstones. And you see how many hopes and dreams were buried with those people. How many best-selling authors.
Right.
How many talk show hosts. How many politicians that maybe could have made a positive difference. Inventors. And so there's no place on planet Earth richer than the dreams that are buried 6 feet under. And what a sad, sad thing that is to look back and say, what if?
Yes.
What if I had the chutzpah to go out and make my dreams come true?
Right, and why not? And why not?
And why not?
I love to wrap up this conversation because you and I could talk for hours. Mo and I could have our own show for an entire season. But I really want to just tap into leadership because a lot of people feel like I'm not a leader. I don't know how to lead. Is there some solution and some connection you can make for people around leadership?
Leadership is not a title. Leadership has nothing to do with what's on your business card. If you're a human being, you're a leader. You're leading yourself, right? First and foremost, you're always going to be the CEO of Me Incorporated.
Yes.
Right? And so you get to hire and you get to fire accordingly. How you live your life, who's in your life, who you choose to spend time with. And by the way, nobody is entitled to your time and nobody is entitled to your friendship. And so you get to hire, you get to fire accordingly, no matter what it says on your business card. And so let's get this idea of people thinking of themselves as not being a leader. Let's put that to bed because everyone is a leader. The only question is, are you conscious about it or are you just going to navigate through life and not take your power?
And how you decide to lead, I think, is really valuable too. Because if you say, okay, I'm a leader, now how are you going to lead in a way that is going to inspire others, do that triple win, create that environment, build connections? So there's some really easy, wonderful leadership qualities from this episode. All right, one last question. If you wanted to ignite the person's life that's sitting there watching and listening to you, what would you want to tell them?
I would say that we talked about it in our conversation, loving yourself. I think that you have to love yourself. And a good stepping stone for that is gratitude. Gratitude is perhaps the most underrated quality, the most underrated gift that we have as human beings. If people spent time every single day and did gratitude exercises, I promise you your life will change. It may sound mystical, but it's very practical. And so I encourage folks to be grateful. I encourage folks to find something in their life to be grateful about, even when it seems as though it is the darkest moment of your life where it's full of despair. There are people that are helpless, hopeless, in pain, wondering, why do I have to go through what I'm going through? And yet, the moment they start finding small things, everyday things to be grateful for, that spark of hope and life gets ignited within them and their destiny changes. And so be grateful and find that spark and ignite it.
Yeah, I love that. I was like enthralled. I was like captivated. I felt ignited. You totally rocked it. Thank you so much.
Got it.
Well, there you have it. Ways for you to create connection and be leaders in your life and step into ideas and suggestions on how you can ignite other people's lives by just being your authentic self, being your true self, bringing love into your life, bringing love into those around you, and really having the ability to, as Mo said, ignite yourself in a way that, I was saying ignite yourself, ignite you, exactly. Ignite in a way that is going to inspire others. There's so many yummy, juicy, good content in this episode. And I'd love for you to watch it again or watch some of our other episodes, because I truly feel that there is something said here in this show that is meant specifically for you. Somebody in Ignite Humanity Live is going to say something that is going to speak to you and spark inside of you what it is you want to do, how you want to step forward, how you want to show up and fill the void of what you know is around you, that you can create goodness and wealth and prosperity, not just in the tangible money way, but in a way where we're all having that win-win, that riches in our lives. Well, if you would like to rewatch this episode, please go to ignitehumanity.life/watch, and you can see what Mo and I talked about and all of our guests. If you have a great story to share and you're igniting people's lives and you're a leader and you're building connections and you're doing all those things that we talked about, those values, we'd love to hear from you. So fill out our type form at ignitehumanity.life/share, and we will share a little bit more about you, and you could even be on the show. Now, one of the big things that we're doing to Ignite Humanity is building schools. And as Mo mentioned, in Cambodia and Indonesia and in Pakistan, and we are igniting the lives of children and igniting literacy. So please go and donate $1 every one of our schools, and every school 5,000 bricks. So just think of how many bricks that is, and yet your dollar could make a difference. So go to ignitehumanity.life/donate and chip in a little bit, because you know that when we ignite the lives of children, we are igniting the next generation. We are igniting the hearts and souls of somebody who maybe didn't have the opportunity, but we are awakening possibilities in them. And I have a dream, knowing that one day, one of the children or many of the children who go to the schools that I help build will do something absolutely to ignite humanity. Those kids that maybe grew up on dirt floors and didn't have anything will go to school, and they will become Nobel Peace Prize winners, and they will ignite humanity in ways that we can't even yet dream of. So be a part of our initiative to help with our schools. Watch our show every day, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I love sharing with you ways to ignite humanity. So blessed to be here. Thanks, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Now, more than ever, we need to come together to connect with one another. We need to feel the truth in who we are and let go of everything that's happened in the past. We need to empower every person on the planet and awaken hearts, enliven souls, Come together, laugh, play, rejoice, connect, create, and love. It's time to ignite humanity. We want you to be a part of something that will impact the future for everyone. We want you to tell your story, share your Ignite moment, show people who you truly are. Be a part of igniting humanity and making a difference in the world and all of our futures.